In this brief tutorial, I'm going to show you how to do a match cut using Adobe Premiere Elements. In this project that I've got set up here, you can tell I've got two different sequences here. 2 shots here and 2 shots here. There are actually many more that are part of this overall project, but I'm only going to use these 4 clips here to demonstrate some match cut issues. Match cutting, of course, as you know, is one of the fundamental demonstrations of continuity expertise that any editor can show his audience. And it's best shown when the audience doesn't even realize that they've seen a match cut. For example, let's start with the dilemma. Let me show you what we've got here. If I put my time indicator over here, in this sequence we've got a kid getting on a bicycle and realizing he's got a flat tire. That's the problem that is part of this narrative. So as we scrub through here, he'll look down and he'll see that there's a flat tire, and then he's going to look up and he's going to get sad. Well, does he look sad there? No, but in the next shot, this was the tighter shot that we took where he gets sad. So obviously we need to stitch these together so that it looks more seamless. If I play it in real time, look at how bad it is in its current state. Okay, clearly they're not continuous at the moment. In this shot here, he's looking up at the end, and in this shot here, he's looking down. So how do we stitch these together? Well, you know that by now it's a matter of trimming. We're just doing a straight cut here, so the idea in this example is to get his head to be at a consistent angle. Okay, as we move forward, he's looking down there, then it's coming back up. The rule of thumb is always to place the cut on the action. In this case, the action is his head coming up. So I'm going to put my initial cut right about there, and I'll trim it back. So that's how he finishes that shot. The head comes up, and then we cut to the other one. So it's not moving there, so I now need to trim this one back up to the point where the angle matches. And I always want to make the cut on the action, so I don't cut right here. I cut right there as he's starting to move. Do you see his head start to move? That's the point where I want to make my cut, so I'll trim up to that point. It'll snap to. And now if we play this back, it should look more continuous. He's looking down, sees the tire, then comes up, and it looks like one continuous flow. Let's watch this in real time just to confirm. Okay, very smooth transition there. And of course he goes to his pouty face, and then there's several other sequences here where he suddenly comes to an epiphany. Hey, I've got a pump. I can just pump this tire up. So let's move on to the second sequence here, because this presents a different dilemma. In this shot here, I want you to notice what he does. He leans down with the pump, puts the nozzle right on the tire, and gets ready to pump. However, look at what we did in the next shot, and I have to confess this is staged, so bear with me. In the next shot, what do you notice that's different? Let me back up. There's the end of the first shot, and let's watch the beginning of the next shot. What do you notice is different? Do you see the hands? We've got 2 hands in the next shot. We've got 1 hand in the previous shot. This is a problem of continuity, and editors face these challenges all the time, especially on larger projects where you have producers and cameramen and directors that don't always plan in their shooting for continuity editing. And so this becomes a big puzzle that editors then have to solve later in post. And so we have a couple options in this particular example. And I think probably our best bet here is to back up and play forward until a point where we see that the 2 hands are just starting to separate, but both hands are moving down. Right about there. At that point, the hands are still sort of together, and the vector of the motion of the action is coming down. So I'm going to go ahead and trim back to that point right there, and then we'll cut directly to the next shot. We'll leave that there, and then the hands come up. So let's see how this plays here in real time. Okay, not great. Probably can move that clip ahead just a hair. Do you see how it almost looks like a jump cut? And the only thing that saves us is that we've moved to a tighter shot at a slightly different angle. But let's extend that cut just a little bit more and let those hands separate just a hair, right about there. And let's see if that helps us any. He leans down, and that we may be able to get away with that. There it is, leans down, and it almost works. Okay, and there's no perfect solution to this, but here's another way that we can cover it. In this particular sequence, he starts pumping up the tire. And you can see how long this clip is, and nothing could be more boring to the audience to sit there and watch him pump the tire up. That's going to take too long. A cool way that we could speed this up is to right-click on the clip and select the time stretch option and bump it up to say something like, oh, I don't know, 600 or 700%. And you'll see the clip shorten. And now, because of this quick change in motion, we might be able to hide that lack of continuity. So let's watch it in real time and see what happens. There's his pump. He leans down, and then he starts pumping. Do you see how that switch to fast motion really helped cover up that cut? This is a very creative way to deal with realistic limitations in the footage that you've captured. Because at the end of the day, when you're in the editing bay, it may not be possible at all to go back and reshoot. If you didn't catch this on site while you're capturing, the only opportunity you're going to have is to try to cover it up in an edit. So anyway, obviously there's a lot more footage that needs to be edited here, but I think you get the point. The key takeaways are always to put your cut right on the action. Always try to match angles and match movements. In this case, he's going down. In this case over here, he's coming up. So always match the vector of motion and always put your cut on the action. Don't cut on a still shot, otherwise it's going to look like a jump cut. And as you're planning for this, when you're setting up your shots later for your future projects, think about moving from one type of shot. You can see here we've got a full shot going to a medium shot or a medium close-up. That change enough, it can sometimes be enough to help camouflage the match cut when your shots are not optimal, like what we dealt with here. And last resort, of course, you can just use some type of special effect. In any event, that's match cutting, at least for this example, and I look forward to seeing your examples in the homework assignment.